It is time for the Boneyard podcast. And Coach Cory Campbell has joined us this week, as always, taping on a Monday. You'll probably hear it either Monday night, Tuesday, and Coach, more and more people listening to the Boneyard podcast. And we appreciate Rogue Media Network for all that they do for us. And a good first home game in the books. You'll take care of North Garland. And now you've run the series. I've got all my Glenn Gant notes. He was getting on to me for maybe not memorizing more of that. He caught me looking at my phone. This new video that we're doing, I can't get away with as many things. But you improved 9-0 all time versus North Garland. And then if you look over here at these notes, you can now see your record each week. We've updated. You're now 10-4 overall. Let's see how many games you have to go to catch up with. No, we won't do that. But there's a lot of. But man, this is gonna be a fun week. Flower Mound coming into town, but let's look back at this game. First of all, really great tribute. Everybody that was a part of Officer Burks. It's just been an extremely tragic situation, but the moment of silence for him, the video of him on the scoreboard, the blue ribbons that were around, and just. Well done by you and all the administration. Carrie, the list goes on. Blythe, I think, was involved with the ribbons, Blythe Lane. And so tremendous job by everybody around. And we continue to think of Officer Burks and his family.
Yeah, sure. I was approached by a lot of Lake Highlands alum and people that are way more important than I. Coach Gaden reached out to me last week, and I think we're going to go ahead and try and shoot for a little later in the season where we bring some former players back, some former coaches back, and just celebrate the life, and let those guys, tell their stories and remember him. And but it's been truly special. Again, we talk about it all the time about this community and how it rallies around each other, and it was no different in this situation.
All right, and then we get the game going, and I guess I'll try to look on the bright side. You want a little adversity in a game that you're favored to win, and obviously you all won this game big, but you had a little stuff go against you early in that game, and yet I thought the defense responded really well, forced a turnover, and time again, whether it was the safeties, some big hits down there, it seemed like the defense kind of allowed the offense to get in, kind of get on the right footing. And then, of course, y'all started revving it up a little bit and some tremendous offensive performances. But what did you think about just kind of the start of the game, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, unfortunately, we turned the ball over on an interception early in the game. And as you mentioned, our defense kind of picked us up there. I felt like that, they played really well in week one against Forney, and then kind of, stepped right back into that role Friday night against North Garland. And then offensively, we kind of got it going a little bit there in the first quarter. And we're able to put some points on the board. And then, like I said, for the most part, the defense, I think they had maybe one explosive play in the first half, was a fade down our sideline. Other than that, man, the defense played exceptional. And, when we got that lead, we got a little bit of cushion. It was fun for me to be able to, roll some other guys in the game that are such a big part of this program, and they don't always get playing time or mentioned, and that's always fun to see their hard work pay off for them, and them to be able to get in the game, and a lot of them played almost a half of the game, and so that was big. But credit to our defense, they had a key stop down there in that first turnover, and played pretty well all night long.
Yeah, and Jeremiah Jones continues. I think that was the fumble recovery, and that got things kind of turned around and going. And the defense, your linebacking core, and, of course, we know about Sherrado from even last year, but what you've kind of built around him, Parsons makes a play, later in that game, 42. I'm just thinking of some of the big hits. I keep hearing everybody say J. Ray, and so I'm like, wait, okay, I got to make sure I know who that is because he's making huge hits. Odolami's, was great against Forney, and he's always steady for you. But there's something about those big hits that ignite a team, and you all seem to feed off that a little bit down there.
Yeah, very much so. I think I think one thing that stands out for me with a guy like Ryan Sherrado is he's sneaky athletic. And then J. Ray, as you mentioned, Jeremiah Jones. When he was a freshman, he played some running back, and we've had a couple other sneaky athletic inside linebackers, outside linebackers, defensive linemen that whenever they were, early on in their career as freshmen and sophomore, they played, they played some receiver, they played running back, and then you get a year or two in that weight room, and then their body starts to change, and that athleticism doesn't leave them. And I think that's one big thing about J. Ray, and he's going to give us the ability later on in the season for us to even be more multiple on defense, and that's just a testament to his athleticism. And then you mentioned, Deuce Black's out there, and Mason Parsons is out there, and then you got Aiden Little out there, and all those guys. They're not the conventional 1986 inside linebacker or outside linebacker. They're guys that can run. We get into that. Deuce Black last year. I credit to him. He's a big track guy. Well, that's in the spring and all that stuff. But Christian Rhodes, a big track guy. And those guys are sneaky athletic and they can run. And I think that's where you're starting to see, some of those guys make plays, especially in our odd front defense, where everything kind of spills to the outside. We're spilling that thing to some of those athletes, and that's how the defense is designed. And credit to Coach Paz and his defensive staff, and then ultimately the kids who are making plays.
Yeah. Coach Paz sent me a text. He wanted at least 3 mentions today, so I'll get a couple more for him. No, they perform really, really well. And then, to your point, Christian Rhodes, who we knew about heading into the season, but again, until you see it on those Friday night lights, you go, okay, what's this kid going to be? You liked what he did even away from the ball against Forney, and he had some and he continues to do some things in terms of blocking. If anything, you want guys that you almost have to pull back. And sometimes, you have some guys that'll block right up to the whistle, right? And by the way, y'all finally, they picked up that flag against Forney. They picked up a flag on our touchdown. What were they thinking about calling, and what happened on that play?
Yeah, well, maybe I take responsibility a little bit there. Against Forney, as good as we played at times, we really went back and looked at the video, and we felt like that there was times where we could be more aggressive, we could be better, and we called the kids out in some of those situations, in the film room, and some of those film watching parties that we have on Saturdays and Mondays and stuff like that. When kids get called out, they take it personal, and man, Mo came off the ball on that first one, that big run for Christian, and it was an unbelievable block. And then he got on top of the guy and, was almost too aggressive, which that's not really in our vernacular. And I was like, golly, I hope that didn't work against us. But they went ahead and picked the flag up. They went and talked to the back judge and the head linesman, and I think they got it figured out.
Yeah. Maybe he said, when he threw it, he saw it, but he didn't see it anymore when he picked it up. So that was nice. 81-yard touchdown. And then, I wanted to talk a little bit about the offensive line. Got the word that Mason Bush, and you talked about that. That's a tough one, who had really emerged at left tackle out with an ACL. But in steps Wright Morris at left tackle, kid I've known since he played T-ball with my daughter. And so it's funny to see these kids blow up, and I'm like, wait, that kid's pretty big. It looked like he stepped in and did a very nice job. But I think that says something about what the depth of this program.
Yeah, unfortunately, huge loss when we lost Bush there on that left side. You never know what the season's gonna, what it's gonna bring. But I told the staff early on, I just saw little things from Mason that I felt like he was gonna be the one or maybe the two offensive linemen you look up in week 7 or week 8, and he was going to be different. He just needed his sea legs underneath him. And we lost him, and then in steps Wright, and we had to make some decisions. Did we want to wholesale some guys, or did we want to leave 3 or 4 guys in the same spot?
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to kind of stick with that measure, and we inserted Wright over there, and he did a good job. And then he's just going to get better and better with more and more experience out there as we go forward.
All right, and some of the throws. Harrison obviously ran tough. I thought we were talking about Christian's speed, but also we got to see the power on that run. I guess it's like a 17-yard run, and they finally got him down there around the goal line. But when again, that's a galvanizing, like some of those big hits on defense. When you have someone run that hard nose, it has sort of that catalytic effect on the offense.
Yeah, no doubt. It rubs off. Christian doesn't really have any other speed. We were joking the other day. We were in a walkthrough, and we're trying to walk through, just kind of mentally preparing for the game. And Christian, he doesn't really know how to walk through. He just wants to go all the time, and we love that about him. And I think that run kind of portrayed that. He kind of got in the open. There was some traffic, and he doesn't mind contact, and it was fun to watch. And like you said, it kind of galvanized our sideline, our fans. It was an exciting run, and at the end of the day, it kind of sent us in the right direction.
Fun to watch some of the growing. You got young receiver Mason Spangler. You're going to get more and more reps. You got your senior Leland Germany, who was even a captain as a junior, now as a senior. That was an interesting play where, he came open, and then, of course, Harrison's can buy all sorts of time, and then he finds him all the way back across the field. But that was a nice play by Leland to kind of, I guess that became a scramble drill. Walk us through that a little bit, like what you were initially wanting to hit, and then where you end up, it's a big 41-yard play that puts you down there with an opportunity to get another touchdown.
Yeah, we had a hollow scheme there off of play action, and, man, we really liked Leland on about the 8th step on the big one over the top, and Harrison didn't see him. A little traffic in his face, and he had to slide, and when he did, that's when the scramble drill kind of took into effect, and we still got him and were able to be successful on that play down the field.
All right, and I wanted you hinted it. I don't want to step on your toes on the. You may have one of these guys as your unsung hero, but as the game went on, I will say the only negative that I got to bring up is but I always love kind of getting inside the mind of a coach, because you're up 36-0. You don't want to pull your starters because you're still trying to get some things done. They get a pick 6 there at the end of the half. Are you questioning yourself on the decision, or like where were you with that? Because obviously I didn't think they were going to come back and win, but it's you're kind of like, it's not the way I want to end the half.
Sure. No, I told Harrison and put that one on me. We were kind of in that gray area of I really didn't want to punt, but we were already starting to pull starters. And so I was kind of in the middle of what we wanted to do, and kind of put Harrison in a bad spot there. And again, ultimately, if I had to do over with, I probably just ran the punt team out there. But I didn't want to have to do that with just a minute or 2 left. I wanted to get that first down. And like I said, ultimately, that's bad judgment on my part. And I told Harrison that at halftime. It was kind of a bad way to end the half, a good half. It kind of left a bad taste in our mouth. But I told the kids we would go back out and get a stop and score, and we were able to do that pretty quickly. And so, short memory.
Yeah, leave it to Mosley in like a 56-13 game to question you about some things. On the Boneyard podcast, Well, I'm liking our graphics too, man. I mean, our people are loving our video and everything, especially you with the hair popping out of that visor.
There's not much left.
No, it's there. It's there. I think it's very Gundy-esque, the look you're throwing down. So, but some of those players that you were, Jackson Nowell, how cool is that? Great interception. And again, that speaks to your team because it's never like the starters are over there and they're like, oh, we're done for the night. Like they get probably more excited about some of your backups making big plays than even when they make big plays.
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to our kids. They go through off seasons together. They go through practices together. They live up here a lot of hours. They have great relationships with our staff. And so when you put all that together and something like that happens, a Will Liggett touchdown or a Jackson Now interception, man, it just brings juice to our whole program, and it's kind of like you mentioned all the time that, these kids, you've seen them grow up. We've kind of seen the same thing,
Yeah.
and when they do something good, man, we're their biggest fan.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch that, and some really, I mean, guys kept playing and made some plays. Now we always want to see before we start talking about Flower Mound because we owe them something from last season, and the Jaguars will come in on Thursday night, right? Yeah, my gosh, we're taping here Monday. This is a quick turnaround. Your offensive and defensive players of the game. Let's get those.
Yeah, we'll start out with offense. Again, when so many different kids play, and a lot of the starters only played a half. It was hard to mention any other one. Christian Rhodes. He had 7 carries for 199 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, almost 25, 30-yard average. I mean, he had some big runs. We were able to not have to run the quarterback. In a game like that, that always goes into, we talk about that as a staff. And so Christian Rhodes will be our offensive MVP this week. And then the one you mentioned that really popped on the video defensively was Jeremiah Jones, J-Ray. I got the stats from Paz this weekend, 7 total tackles, 3 solos, 2 quarterback pressures, and a fumble recovery. And so he was all over the place. And, kind of as we alluded to a while ago, he's just an athletic kid that's he's starting to come into his own, kind of like Christian. They're starting to be, where they're doing it every Friday night, and they're just going to get better and better. And, man, I love J. Ray's motor. He plays hard, and that's a testament to his coaches and to him. But, man, there's so many of those guys like Mako Odolami and Ryan Shirato and Hollywood and Webb, and they just play hard, and it's fun to watch, and they joke sometimes in sports about defense travels, right? If you're going to the Boston Garden and you got to play the Celtics, if you play defense, you're going to stay in the game, and that's what gives me so much positivity, as the season, as we get into district play, is if that defense travels, they're going to give us an opportunity to stay in football games, and we'll see where this thing goes.
I'm here for your NBA references. I like that. Okay, the parquet and all of that, bringing back some memories. The Unsung Hero Award. Who does that go to this week, coming out of the North Garland victory?
Well, so this week, our Unsung Hero, we're gonna give those guys the award, and then we're gonna ask a big ask. And we'll get a little bit more about Flower Mound. But our Unsung Hero Award, and I won't be able to list them all, is our scout teams. And that's our JV guys. And before I get into specifically, last year, Wright Morris was one of those guys. Ben Bonner was one of those guys. Peyton Nicholson was one of those guys. J. Ray was one of those guys. And those scout teams, that's not always the thing they love to do the most, but we really believe it gives us an opportunity for them to get meaningful reps in practice, and eventually they're going to be the ones, and there'll be a new scout team. It's kind of like a rite of passage, and our scout teams have been doing an unbelievable job. A little behind the scenes here on scout teams. Our defense, when our defense is in practice, we have multiple scout team huddles. And so those plays they go fast. And so in a 3 segment, our segments are in 5-minute increments. So in a 15-minute team defense segment, we could get 30, 40 plays because we're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We have those two huddles, and those guys are instrumental in us getting reps, obviously, but more importantly, meaningful reps. This is what North Garland runs.
Yeah.
This is what Flower Mound runs, or this is what Forney runs, and they're getting better and better in that. So I just wanted to list a couple guys.
Yeah.
I just made a few notes. Caleb Goins, Junior Osaroller, Copeland Greenberg, Wyatt Willis, Charlie Allen, Jude Smith, Cooper Lamb, Chris Terrio, Andre Barrett. I mean, there's 22 of those guys that are repping at one time. And if you only have one huddle, then they got to come back to the huddle and they got to learn what to do. And then it just takes more time. But from a defense perspective, when you have two huddles and you're able to just go, man, those guys have done an unbelievable job thus far. And we think going forward, those guys that I just listed are going to play on Friday night and they're going to be successful because of what they're doing right now. Now, the task that we're going to ask those guys to do this week, and getting into Flower Mound a little bit, man, what a unique opponent on a short week. You mentioned we play on Thursday, and their tempo. It's hard to create tempo in practice of what another team does. And so, man, we're going to ask those guys to go fast with their hair on fire this week to give our defense an opportunity to simulate that tempo that we're going to see on Thursday night. And they're going to spread it all over the lot. They've got a really, really good quarterback, and they're going to throw it 35 times, 40 times a game, and they're going to get all these different sets. So our scout teams are really, really critical this week in giving our defense the best picture. And without giving too much scouting report right now, on the other flip side of it, we're going to play a 3 safety shell, which we hardly ever play. It's that Iowa State kind of look, that defense where they play with 3 safeties. And so Flower Mound's just, ironically, in a short week, we drew a straw of an opponent that does a lot of things that we don't see every week.
Mm-hmm.
So, but unsung this week is going to be our scout team players. And, man, this program would not go without those kids.
All right, and well, I'm glad you did that because you also got into a little Flower Mound, and that's good. Even some of those names I heard there. One of those kids is a real good baseball player who got brought up late in the season. So you have some good multi-sport players as well. As you look at Flower Mound, I mean, I think back to last year, and while that was a negative moment, and I know all the coaches, that was a tough loss. It became sort of a galvanizing moment because, as I recall, it led to a huge victory, and you all beat up on Highland Park. It took a couple of days to get that in, but that was that season in a sense could have gone either way, and it went the right way. Do you allude to that at all, or do you just kind of keep just only the focus on Thursday night this year?
No, we talked about it. I think the circumstances were different last year. If you remember, we were in a 9-team district. And so with that aspect, Flower Mound was the second game. And I think we were still trying to figure out, you and I have talked about our identity, who are you, and things like that. And I think we were still trying to figure that out. If I had to say anything about that loss, I would probably say that it helped us get a better grasp of that identity. I don't think we're in that place right now with this football team after 2 games. So the circumstances may be a little different, but make no mistake about it. I mean, they're undefeated. They won 38-0 Friday night over Wiley, and they're a great football team, and it's going to be a huge test for us. But we need that. We need to try and take the next step. Pierce is really good. Berkner's really good. Jesuit's really good. Richardson's really good. I mean, so we're going to face really good football teams, which you should. That's what we play this game for, And so at the end of the day, if there's anything I could change, I wish the game was on Friday. I lost a coin flip to Coach Bryant. I'm not very good at coin flips, by the way. Don't talk to my staff about that. So, but the circumstances are what they are, and so we'll get ready for Thursday night. We've got a great plan. And at the end of the day, I think more than anything, I just talked to the kids about, they're a great football team. They're 2-0, and yeah, we talked a little bit about what happened last year, but at the end of the day, we need to take another step.
Yeah, great opportunity, and looking forward to it. Great crowd the other night. Great student section. Got to get them to the second half in a big, we got to make sure they come back. But anyway, I hope you'll give them another opportunity to make that decision and get up on Flower Mound. But we'll see. I think it'll be a little bit tougher game. But you know what I like hearing when you say they're going to throw it 35 to 50 times or whatever. How many opportunities is that to get an interception? I mean, you put it in the air, some things can happen. You'll have a really talented, back seven to this team, and obviously very talented up front. And love all the nicknames on the team. You got Jay Ray, you got Hollywood back there. Does Aiden's?
I think we'll just go with Webb. I think.
Okay,
I don't know if I can remember all that stuff. So
it's got to be like a Spider-Man thing I could think of with the web. There's something we could go.
Maybe we'll work on that.
Spider. Yeah, we can just call him Spider.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Okay, we'll continue to work on that. Thanks to everybody who's a part of this thing, the Holly family, the Baggetts. I mean, we have so many people, Coach, that kind of they're like, we just want to underwrite and give, help the school, and they support the podcast and all. But if you are a company out there, and like Homecoming Week is something I've had in mind, that'll be a huge podcast, and that would be a great one to sponsor. All the local restaurants, you and I tend to, whether it be Taco Joint, Micocina, y'all got that thing over with quickly enough the other night that I could still get to Micocina and get some tacos Habana. So I appreciate that. But anybody who wants to be involved in this podcast, we'd love to have you. And I appreciate it. Love the unsung heroes, and that is great to talk about the scout team. And this should be a great crowd against Flower Mound, a fun game. And we appreciate Rogue Media Network. And Coach, nice to have Jose Negrete out here helping us out a little bit today.
Yeah.
And although I'm sort of known for a lot of my technical skills, Jose apparently has a little more to that. But he does a nice job, doesn't he, on the sideline?
Yeah, Jose's my guy, man. He's been around here for a long time. He's just part of LH, so every time I see him, puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, I'll see him down there in key moments, and he'll be pretty close to you. I'm like, Jose, stay away from him right now. He knows. He's just getting some good pictures. By the way, speaking of someone on the sideline, my man JT, got to give him a hug after the game. He's a huge listener, loves this podcast, and we love JT. And you talk about ride or die guy. He's down there with you every week. So always love JT. So special shout out for him. Let's see. Let's mention Pascuzzi one last time. There you go, Coach. There's 3. It is. He didn't really text. He's going to be mad at me. He didn't really text me that. It is. Oh, one more thing. I mean, oh my gosh, Flower Mound. We do have some historical perspective, and you can read this on Facebook for all this. But obviously, Coach talked about this version of Flower Mound. But you guys are, Coach. I know you love knowing what you are against these teams. Lake Highlands 3-1 all time. And the big, the memory game is that 2003, and that opened Jaguar Stadium, 2003 matchup, now called Neil Wilson Stadium. We all know about Coach Wilson, his legacy, and that was a Jerry Gaden team, and they had, let's see, Kirby. What I like about Glenn is he kind of tells us about some of the preseason quarterback controversies that were going on. Kirby Kiefer, Kyle Humphreys, Patrick Seddon. We're kind of in also Bryson Porter was getting some snaps. The way I interpret this thing is that Kyle Humphrey. I mean, you had this school has some unbelievable kickers. Isn't that amazing? I mean,
Yes.
Between Phil Dawson, and then I guess he's saying that I was trying to remember Kyle Humphreys, but he was saying that Lake Highlands in this game hit a 52-yard field goal in the first quarter. Who else? Chris Stover played in the NFL. Back then, this is a really rich history of kickers, punters, the whole thing. And defensive coordinator that week, Cory, Ed Berry, put that 4-2-5 on them, and instead of the old 50 front, you're smiling. And they shut down the halfback Ryan Bewley, who actually ended up going to Tulane. That's what I love about Glenn. He knows where all these kids went. And then The Lake Highlands line was anchored by Franklin Ocam. You've heard that name over the years. He's been an assistant coach at Baylor, Rice, other places, played for the Texans, but another great name from the past. Linebacker Jeremy Campbell and Stephen Coleman, who went on to TCU. But the Cats forced 5 fumbles and 4 interceptions, including a 49-yard pick six by Michael Drew. So anyway, there's our history lesson for the week.
A little bit more on the history. I haven't been associated with very many parade All-Americans, but there's a plaque in our office for Frank Ocam, which is Coach Ocam now. He was a parade All-American at Lake Highlands High School, so that's pretty special.
Yeah, that is very special, and he's a great guy, and he is one of the many Wildcats that have gone on to play in the NFL. But this program produces an incredible amount of players, and they got a few of them on this year's team that could go on and play at the next level for sure. All right, it is the Boneyard podcast for Coach Cory Campbell. I'm Matt Mosley. We'll see you Thursday at the Boneyard.
We are Rogue Media Sports.